A lot of people could not understand why I go to these remote places. Often people say to me, but Pete, there's nothing there. But when you open your eyes, there's everything there, and you have this sense of peace and oneness of what you're shooting.
Landscape photographer Pete Dobre has just released his 17th book, a project which was 2 years in the making. His never-ending sense of adventure has driven him to make the journey to Lake Eyre no less than 10 times in order to photograph, film and live among more than 50,000 pelicans as they gather in a wildlife rarity to breed in the middle of the outback.
You know, Lee, what makes Lake Eyre so extraordinary is that when it's dry and barren, you have this desolate wasteland. But when the floodwaters come over 2,000 k's to fill it up, the size and the grandeur of Lake Eyre is like you can fit Adelaide's metropolitan area in there many, many, many times.
And to be there and witness that flood event and the life that comes from that is such a rarity. How often does it happen?
Well, you know, Lee, if this happened every year, you could have the attitude, oh yeah, well, another year. But this only happens once when the floods come down. For example, yes, the lake's had water in the last 2 years. Previous to that, 20 years. Previous to that was 1976. And that's what makes this project so special, because it's not an everyday event.
So you've seen this complete life cycle of the birds. And tell me about that.
It's extraordinary, you know, from the time the little bird, and a baby pelican's called a toddler, which I didn't know at the time, but when that comes out of its egg, in 12 weeks, it flies away. So the growth rate of this bird is extraordinary over such a short period of time.
And so when the water starts to head to Lake Eyre, it seems the pelicans have this sixth sense. How do they, you know, to see the numbers that just come there?
This is the miracle in the desert, Lee, because no one really knows why. But, you know, when all that water comes down, they're on the coast. It's like mum and dad say, hey kids, we're going on holiday, let's go in the desert. And they go there, they breed, and they stay there until the water subsides and they go back to the coast.
Now, you've shot Lake Eyre from the ground and also from there. You've really captured the whole thing.
That's what I like to do, give a balance of what's happening on the land and above. And when you get in a plane and shoot from above, you see these amazing patterns that take place. For example, in the book, I've got a little pattern that's called the jellyfish.
Yes.
You've got these rivers coming through, the green algae, and this is a massive landmark.
This is your latest work, but you have shot all over South Australia. You really are sort of our eyes of South Australia.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Lee, because I tried to be people's eyes. Like some years ago, a lady came up to me in a wheelchair and she said, I want to thank you. And I said, why? She said, because I want to thank you, Pete Dobre, for being my eyes, because I can't get out to these places. So when one of my books comes out, she says, wow, I've been there, I've had a look, because not everybody can go to these extreme remote places. And it's just an honour to actually have that ability to be somebody else's eyes.
How awesome is that sky?
Pete's a man with many quirky signatures, like his red flannelette shirt and his 2 odd socks, because he says nothing is ever perfect. But his artistic signature is his portrayal of the incredible skies that have become his trademark. Ruins, coastlines, mountains and rivers all feature in his work, but does he have a favourite place?
I guess I've got a really soft spot for Kangaroo Island. I think it's an extraordinary place, and from a photographic point of view, what's really nice about it, you've got so much diversity happening in a short period of time, and if you love taking pictures, you'll come back with extraordinary pictures. So Kangaroo Island's a really favourite place.
Do you find it odd that South Australians don't get out more?
I do, and it's a crying shame, because, you know, when you can open your back door and venture out, it's transforming, and it also transforms your own attitude to life. When we get out, see what's in our state, you have this freshness that comes about you, and I just encourage people, get out and see South Australia, because there's so much good to see.